I don't know if it's gonna work here or not here, guys. I'm trying. I'm standing in the dead zone. There's no Wi-Fi, just LTE. This thing seems to be conducting some signal here. Can anyone hear me? I've never missed a live stream in 6 years. Every week, 400 episodes. We're not gonna miss it tonight. Fucking Florida, Canadian cell phone providers. You guys hear me? There's no Wi-Fi. It won't connect to the Wi-Fi at the store. It won't connect to Wi-Fi anywhere. I'm on LTE. If I stand still, you guys can hear me. Try not to move. Try to find a cell phone tower in the sky. Let's see if we can do it. Let me walk down the street here and see. Maybe if I stand near the road more, it'll find it. You guys hear me? We're in Florida. We're in beautiful Florida. We're in Daytona Beach right now. I have a TELUS provider. I have a sick plan, actually, believe it or not. Oh, it's working. Maybe I just had to walk away from the Wi-Fi. I just gotta stand near this power box here. Is that amplifying the service? The LTE 5G? Am I getting the 5G waves? We had no Wi-Fi, and I was driving on the highway, and I'm like, okay, it's YouTube time. Let's pull over. So we pulled over, and the kids went and grabbed some food real quick, and here we are. You know, this cell phone plan is actually fantastic. I have like unlimited data, US calling, US texting. It's like, we just changed plans because I needed to have the access to the US. My wife was on a plan. We just renewed our 90-day plan with hers before I found this new plan. And it was like I think it was $170 for 90 days. So it's like, I don't know, you divide that out to $60 a month or something. But it was like double what we were paying before. But they have plans now at Public Mobile. If you guys want a referral code, look up on my Instagram. I can give you guys the referral link. I get a $1 off. You get $10, I think, if you join. It's pretty cool. It's 30. This brand new plan I just found. If you're already with them, I think, even if you're brand new to them, it's $34 a month for 50 gigs of US data, unlimited call, text, international. You can text Europe. You can get texts in from China. You can call your friends in Europe and the US and Canada. Travel around, no roaming, free. $34. It's pretty sweet. And it's TELUS towers in Canada, so it's really good Canadian service. In the US here, I think they're partnering with AT&T or some shit, or Spectrum. It's been okay. If you can hear me right now, and we're streaming in HD on my LTE, I mean, they're already throttling me. I've already used so much in the last 2 days that it's slow because they're throttling me. But I think I was competing with the Wi-Fi over there. Because I sat over that patio, and it wouldn't launch. YouTube was like, sorry, there's an error. What do you mean there's an error? So I went and downloaded it like twice over. And now I've re-downloaded YouTube. It seems to be working, but again, we're not on Wi-Fi, and I think YouTube doesn't like not being on Wi-Fi. It was like, are you sure you want to do it on LTE? And I was like, yes, I'm sure I want to use cell phone data. Like, relax. But now it seems to be working, I think. Any questions, drop them down below. Quality's pretty good. There we go. So we got a little iPhone. We're trying to catch a satellite tower here somewhere so we can get some cell phone service, because on the highway there was none. It was like one, 2 bars. Now that we're in Daytona Beach here, it's gotten better. Much, much better. Obviously, I'm streaming to you guys, so it's working. We're doing YouTube streaming. Doesn't get better than that. Missed out on a heck of a storm in London. Really? That's great. It's beautiful here. It's nice and warm. We're going to be working on the motel. We got some challenges there we got to deal with, so I had to get down here, and we'll be here probably until 2 gigs. Interesting. So I guess I'm already throttled because I've already used 2 gigs up. So I guess I'm already throttled, but I've got 75 gigs or whatever, which is plenty. It's like more than I ever need. There you go. So I'm way already in the throttle zone. It was really fast initially. Guess I'm past my throttle zone, but it's still giving me internet, so sweet. Okay, how's the motels? We're having some challenges there. We got some learning about the Florida rules. We had to let go of a manager who put in some bums and let them stay 28 days. At 28 days, they have rights, so it's gonna take us a month to evict them in court. It's not as bad as Ontario, but I had no idea that there would be challenges like this in Florida. I thought property rights were stronger than they are, but here we are. Live and learn. So we'll get them all out. We'll get it turned around. The motel's got $1 million in upside, so there's lots of room to handle all the struggles and challenges that come with that. So that's the other question here. I hope you're well. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin's been mooning. Yeah, it was at 88,000 Canadian a token, which is getting close to 6 figures per token. I still have a little bit, but unfortunately dumped most of my Bitcoin and holdings for, I still have a couple of coins, so I can't complain, but and I still have a bunch of ETH as well, but yeah, I dumped it to buy a bunch of real estate. And shittily, real estate's actually gone in the shitter the last 2 years. I would say most of the properties I've bought in Ontario, the market has depreciated while I've owned them for the last 2 years. Inflation has kicked real estate's ass. It won't in the long term, but in the short term, it actually has kicked its ass. So it is what it is. Like, here's the thing, I couldn't predict when, sometimes the halvening, like the last halvening, didn't actually create really a big bull market for Bitcoin for like a year after. So sometimes it takes longer for the bull market to hit. So you don't know. Like, people ask me, what do you think about Bitcoin? I'm like, I'm long-term bullish on Bitcoin. I hold it myself. It should be a small percentage of everyone's portfolio, I think. If you want that kind of, sleep at night factor, I wouldn't put a large percentage of your portfolio in it because of this. I say Bitcoin probably will be $1 million a token in the next 20 years, but it will also be $20,000 a token in the next 20 years. So it's like, can you sleep at night knowing if you buy this right now at 80,000 Canadian a token or 85,000 a token and it drops to 25,000? Can you sleep at night knowing your million is worth $230,000, that you've lost $750,000? If you're okay with that, cool. If you're a long-term hodler, like, go for it, I think there will be a great opportunity to exit Bitcoin and sell it to someone else for more in the future. But if you need that cash for something 2 years from now, let's say you got to buy a house or something comes up and you need the money and you have to sell Bitcoin in a bear cycle, you don't want that. Do not put in more than you're comfortable holding for a long time. So that's my thoughts on Bitcoin. Extremely bullish on it. I think that the network has a lot of potential. I love that the government can't control it. They can control the off and on ramps, but they can't control what's going on in the ledgers, person to person. I like that. It's great. I think that there's got to be a system where the government can't control everything and tax the shit out of everything. We need to have some freedom, and they seem to be kind of doing away with cash. So this is the next best thing to cash. And it does have a fair bit of utility as well. So there is quite a bit of utility, and the value really is in the network, right? It's in the value of all those computer nodes and transactions, and also the belief behind it does give it some additional value. But it really is the computer system behind it that's giving it a lot of value. There's a lot of energy going into it, and a lot of computers connected to it, basically ensuring that the blockchain, like the blockchain technology itself, will replace our current way of, I guess, authorizing transactions and verifying transactions. This is a more efficient, better system. Blockchain technology is better, hands down, and Bitcoin's the leader in that. It's the first mover, so it has a huge advantage to it. The other shitcoins, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of shitcoins that do what Bitcoin does, but aren't Bitcoin, and don't have the limited supply that Bitcoin has, and I'd be careful. I'd be careful about those. A lot of folks buy BTC on exchanges like Wealthsimple, even some big financial institutions. That defeats the whole purpose, right? Instead of a wallet, that is. Well, it depends on what your purpose is, right? Like, your use case could be it's digital gold, right? And like, there's a limited supply of it, and they continue to, I guess, effectively push the price up by limiting supply. As more people want Bitcoins, and there's only so much Bitcoin, what ends up happening is, and also the miners, right? Running it, they need to be able to make a profit. And the halvening basically forces the price up because the miners receive less. So there is actually a doomsday scenario where miners go bankrupt and you have to hodl Bitcoin for a long time before you make your money back. There are some bear case scenarios I've read where you may have to hold Bitcoin for a long time to make a profit. We are currently in a risk-on environment, a blow-off top, 2,000 level, all hands on deck, anything with risk, all in type of market right now, right? And so what that means is that, like, if you're a garbage stock like CVNA, Carvana, I'm shorting them, it means that they can cook the books a little bit, play around with non-GAAP accounting principles, show a small profit, not a real profit, but a gross profit, not a net profit, and their shares can jump 90% in a week. That's what's happening. Or you can look at shares like NVIDIA, which are probably worth maybe $400 or $500, even with their amazing earnings, their amazing growth trajectory. Maybe they're worth $400 a share, trading at like almost $800 a share. Look at Meta, was $90 a share. It's now almost $500 a share. Like, what the fuck? Like, the market caps are getting a little crazy. Things are getting a little frothy. It reminds me of Cisco and the dot-com bubble. It reminds me of, like, well, we honestly haven't seen a risk-on environment like this where people are willing to take this level of risk and speculate this hard, in more than 2 decades, I would say, in terms of like this level of greed. The fear greed index is at an 80 out of 100. There's been no time in history in 3 years following a greed index for 2 weeks straight, and we've had it for like almost a year, of 80, where we didn't have a significant downfall of at least 25% correction. So it's statistically and historically never happened that we won't have a downfall in the next 3 years. When? I don't know. Fuck if I know. None of us know. If any of you guys can time the market, I mean, you'll be a billionaire, right? Just go all YOLO on some crazy options. They'll pay 1,000 to 1. You could do that if you knew, but none of us know. And so the reality is they could keep this thing going to the election. That would be likely, you know, that's what happens when you print a bunch of money, you increase the M2 supply a ton, give a bunch of people a bunch of money. What's going to happen? I mean, they're going to be foolish with it. Inflation's going to rise, you know, risk assets like, well, Bitcoin's technically a risk asset, but tech is mostly risk asset. Look at junk bonds right now. Even junk bonds are going crazy. Like any risky asset people are dumping into. In times of recession, people flee to safe assets. So we are in a full-on euphoric hopium type of a market, and it may go all of 2024. It likely will until after the election. But it's also really, really possible that we crash any day now, 30%. So there's a lot of risk. So if you're gonna go long on the market, now is a good time to put a hedge in your portfolio. It may drag your performance 1 or 2% to have a little bit of insurance in your portfolio, you know, buy some puts, sell some calls, protect your portfolio in case any downside comes up. I think it's worth doing in this market if you're going to participate long. I think going short is dangerous, so just be careful on that. Creating systems. So one of the things we did with the Florida motel, we bought a couple and we hired on 2 full-time staff. So we have full-time management here. We have like WhatsApp group chats going that are helpful. We've created Google Sheets. Google Sheets are great because you can collaborate together. Multiple people can go to the same sheet at the same time and get real live data. We're creating sheets as well for tasks. So it's like, what these are the tasks need to get done? Has it been done? We can just, in the column beside it, they can go in, the staff can go in and adjust that. It's a small motel, so we only need a manager. Like we have a full-time manager that we hired on. We have cleaners part-time, and we have maintenance people part-time currently. In terms of like, you know, staffing, that's all it takes really. But we're working on it. You know, you ought to build up your Rolodex of people when you deal with challenges like we're dealing with right now with these squatters that have basically broken into the rooms and are just living there. And we have to now evict them properly because the police are useless here. We will get an eviction. I mean, Florida property rights are very strong. So in a month, we'll have them out. But they'll get to stay a month during our busy season. It's costing us $200 a night. They will just live there, destroy the unit, and cost us $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. It's actually cheaper to just, there are a lot of solutions that I can't talk about online that you could do that are a lot cheaper than leaving them there and evicting them lawfully. But we're gonna probably go with the lawful process, hire a professional, get it done. But yeah, there's obviously challenges. I would say like, it's interesting though, like I also have a 24 unit building in a motel in Sarnia, and it's an hour from where I live, 45 minutes from where I live. My brother lives locally, so we have that presence locally. And I have the same challenges internationally as I do locally. In both cases, I rarely visit the property physically, once a month type thing. You don't need to physically be there all the time. You can have camera systems that you can monitor everything going on. You have good staff that you can trust to be there, and you have people that basically cross-check their work. So you might have a realtor go by and check on things. You might have a maintenance guy that's independent that checks into you to just be like a second check or a third check. But building good systems, whether your property is beside you in the same city or in another city, you should be able to, if you build the right systems and the right people, be able to run it in the same way. In both cases, you shouldn't have to go to the property all the time. Like someone who's at the property all the time, it's a system, it's a sign of a bad system. It's a sign of bad staff. It's a sign of problems in the people process technology area of your business. So ideally you build a business that is, I guess, sort of independent or self-sufficient to an extent, and you're focused on the high level planning, driving the business. Of course, I say that and like, you still have to walk behind your managers. You still have to walk behind your staff. People miss things. People are human, especially people you're paying. You know, if you're paying like a $30,000 a year salary for full-time work, what are you expecting? You're not going to get the best of the best in terms of attention to detail, et cetera, so forth. So as a general manager, until I have like if I had 20 motels or 30 motels, I could hire a general manager to be me, to manage the chats and to manage the staff, and just their job is literally just to manage all of the staff. That's the goal, right? To get that system, that size where the business is actually running without me having to play CEO, without me having to play COO and general manager. Because that kind of sucks in real estate. When you're small, you can't afford to hire all the staff that you need to make things truly passive. But as you get bigger, it gets easier. All right, my arm is just killing me right now. I was doing rock climbing the other day and I just destroyed my shoulder. So trying to hold this tripod right now, it's pretty heavy with my phone on it. We're gonna keep going though. Couple more minutes. Thoughts on these box pop-up units? Look like it wouldn't be a bad idea to drop one in the backyard, get a garden suite. Yeah, I've seen these on Amazon. They're like 20 grand. You can drop in a unit. It's like a ready-made unit. You just like fold out the walls and everything's done. Even the electrical's all roughed in. It's really cool. In theory, you could like pour a concrete pad, have utilities run to this pad and just drop these down. I think this is going to be huge in the tiny house community. It's going to be huge where the zoning, where they're going to be, some municipalities will fight it and say no. Like London, Ontario, where I'm from, they'll never, like they'll be forever fighting us to put these in. They'll make it so hard. And they'll make development costs expensive, et cetera, and so forth. But municipalities that are forward thinking and remove the red tape barriers to entry and say, hey, go drop 10 of these. We just want to check in, make sure they're like wired in properly, whatever, do some building inspection on it. And they're quick and they give permits quick and they're flexible in their zoning requirements. I mean, we're going to see huge amounts of housing pop up cheap, which should help with the profitability. So these houses in a box for 15 grand, they go in your backyard and it's like a full house. That's super cool. I'm really a big fan of it. I think it's going to do a lot. I think that it will drive affordable housing. It might not be good necessarily for the cost of construction. So if you're buying buildings based solely on cost of construction, not the underlying land, then it may drive down the value of those buildings to an extent. The land will go up in value. It will always be scarce, but the buildings may have some challenges. So that's something to think about, actually. It's actually bearish for cost of construction. It's driving the price down, which is deflationary in some ways, which is good. We actually need that because things have been crazy. Inflation's out of control. It's not necessarily good for the price of real estate in the short term, but I think we have such a crisis in Canada. It's just, we'll take what we can get. They're literally, we're the fastest growing developed nation in the world right now. I think our population grew like 3.7%, I think it was, in like under a year. That's insane. Like a 3.7 compounded growth rate. Even China isn't growing that fast as a percentage. So Canada's growing like crazy. They let in a ton of immigrants. It's all immigration. It has its pros and its cons, a lot of cons, but also pros. And one of the cons is that we don't have any housing. Like we are definitely not building enough, and the municipalities are making it really hard. Yeah, they're pretty cool on Amazon. Do you have any single project homes? Yes, we have a house that caught on fire that we bought for really cheap, over half price. We're overhauling that house. We just bought a duplex in Sarnia. I didn't want to buy it, but like it kind of fell in my lap. My brother does all the work, so I'm like, yeah, I'll fund it. We've got another one that I funded in Burlington. It's a single family. We have a triplex in London that we're going to be throwing up. I have a duplex in London we're going to be throwing up. I have a fourplex in London we're going to be throwing up for sale that just got finished renovating. We've got the 24 unit, and then we got a couple motels here. We do have a single family here in Lake City, which it's two houses. Shameless plug, if anyone wants a property in Lake City, hit me up. Lake City's a little bit of a rough place, so I'm not going to pretend it's a nice Florida city, but it's cheap. Like 200 grand, you get two houses basically. There's a 5-bedroom mobile home, like fixed mobile home, plus a 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick house. And you can get it for like a couple $100 grand. Hit me up. We'll work something up. 250 grand, something like that. So 125 grand per. They're each on their own septic systems. Rent is well over 1% rule, but that one's a flip. We're just finishing up. And then we have another one in Jensen Beach that we're going to be, I'm going down there to stage it after I finish on this motel. We're going down and check out that. So yeah, I've got lots of projects on the go. I have like a dozen active construction sites at any given time, for the most part. Yeah, so we've got, probably 15 projects on the go right now where we're in some level of transition on it, either whether it's a long flip or just been stabilized. So yeah, I got lots going on in that business, and I need to do less, not more, but I can't not chase these deals right now. We're in such a great opportunity to buy right now. I think anything you buy right now is going to be up 20% in the next 12 to 24 months. So I'm super bullish on multifamily. I'm super bullish on anything that cash flows really well. Even flips right now, it's kind of hard to go wrong. Like June's going to be such a frothy exit. If you enter right now when things are depressed and it's cold here in Canada, it's hard not to make a profit. Even just buying and doing nothing, like paint the walls and that's it. You'll still make such a huge profit, just timing the market a little bit. But make sure you buy smart in case things don't go your way. Make sure it can cash flow. If you have to hold it, like shit happens, right? And being able to have those reserves is super, super important. I've got 6 cottages coming up for sale in the Grand Bend, Lambton Shores, kind of between Forest, Lambton Shores, and Grand Bend area. If anyone's interested in cottage, some really nice cottages. They're going to Airbnb. They're going to do like $500 a night. I have too many, and I have a couple of partners. I just want to get out of those. We've agreed mutually that like we just want to get into bigger projects. I'm trying to get out of the small projects. I'm trying to stop doing them. I will do the occasional small flip, or if someone in my network, like my cousin or my brother, like someone in my family comes to me and is like, hey, I found this duplex. It's an amazing deal off market. Like, let's buy it. I'll do all the work. Like, just like finance it. I say yes to those. So I'm trying to just do bigger deals. I'm trying to take down, I would like to get 50 hotels in the next 5 years. 50 motels, sorry. Buying them, refinancing them, buy another one, buy it. If I buy one a quarter in the next 5 to 7 years, it's really attainable. And the scale gets really big, really quick. Once you have the systems and people, it starts to get a lot faster. It's the hardest right now. Like the first 5 or 10 motels are the hardest. And we'll get there. You know, within a year, I'll be there if I put my mind to it. So it's whether or not we want to put our mind to it or not. There's so many competing interests. I have 3 beautiful mentee girls, my daughters, right, that are always competing for my attention. My wife, of course, you know, I have family and other commitments as well that compete. So it's like, how fast do we want to grow? You know, growth is guaranteed. It's just how far do you want to grow? And how much energy do you want to put up and how much do you want to sacrifice? Because there's a lot of sacrifice that goes with achieving the level of success I have had, has required a lot of late nights, a lot of stress, a lot of skipping out on stuff, you know? Like movies I wanted to watch that I didn't get to watch, or trips that friends took that I didn't get to go on. And now I can go on all those things, right? Because I've unlocked financial independence. But during the grind, it was brutal. You know, there's a lot of times where I said, no, sorry, I can't go. I just have to sit at home. I have to grind. I have work to do, you know? So that's life. There's wisdom for you. Is it worth it? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is worth it. I'm here in Florida and it's beautiful. And I can go to the Bahamas. I can go to Costa Rica. I can go wherever. I never have to work again. But I will, and I do, because I want to create things and I want to do things. And I want to learn and unlock new skills and new levels. And, you know, I'm a competitive person. It's a game. This is literally a game for me. The stock game. Let's switch to another game that I play. The options trading, stock game. Just a mental mindfuck. Since last week, after NVIDIA, I shorted NVIDIA hard. And I shorted CVNA Carvana pretty hard. Thankfully, I had stop losses then. So I didn't destroy my portfolio, but it hurt. Definitely hurt. Cannot wait to close that stock portfolio, but I'm waiting for a down month. I'm waiting for the euphoria to end, for the song and dance to come to a bit of an end. I'd even take a raging bull market pullback like we had in August or October. You get usually twice a year in a raging bull market. If you rip up 20%, you have a pullback of 5 or 10%. I would even close my shorts and be okay with that. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's the update for Mike Rosehart. You guys will see me next week. I'll be in Florida for next couple of months or whatever. So there'll be lots more videos. You can ask me questions. Yeah. Depending on the lot, I'd love a small, simple one and then rent the main property. Oh, okay, hit me up. I have a house that has an ADU, accessory dwelling unit. It has a tiny house in the back, and the main house is a big duplex. So if you want to live in the back one, I can hook you up. I'll sell that property to you for like $699 if we do a private deal. That one's a pretty cool little property. It rents out, the main house rents out for $4,500 a month, and the back house is $1,500, so or $4,000? I can't remember. I have to double check my numbers, but like roughly $5,000 a month in rent. So, you know, you're like 60-something thousand in gross income. Hit me up if you want something like that. I could offload that property. We've owned it for 3 years. It just doesn't make sense to have these small properties anymore. Like, I just don't want to deal with the headaches. You know, it's like, it's all $50 an hour work. Whereas the big buildings, I can bring in a live-in superintendent and it just goes so much smoother having full-time staff to manage the problems versus like trying to hire people to manage one property in London. It just doesn't make sense. I can't scale it in the same way. So what drives your decision when you go STR route versus LTR? Is it an option you look to keep? What type of margin do you look for? It really depends. Like both LTR and, you know, STR have different, like long-term rental versus short-term rental have different benefits and different pros and cons. Long-term rentals are much more stable, much easier to manage. You have no clean over turnover. The units tend to get beat up faster. Short-term rental, actually, the units stay nicer longer because you have cleaners coming in and preserving things. So you'll notice that if damage or something happens, you catch it quick. And the cleaners cleaning things, I find keeps the unit just nicer. The floors last longer. There's just less wear and tear than long-term rental. So damage is lesser for short-term rental. As strange as that sounds, it's actually lesser. The house gets kept up nicer. You go into a short-term rental 3 years from now, and it looks similar. You know, the furniture's worn a bit, but it looks similar to when I rented it the first time. But you go into a long-term rental, the tenant's moving out, and they've moved their furniture, they've dinged all the walls are all messed up, the floors got scraped moving in big beds. I had mine furnished, so there was no heavy furniture moving. People, you know, came, slept there, and left. It's just a different wear and tear on the unit. So LTR has its challenges, but it's much more stable income. Short-term rental will have peak season where you'll make, you know, double per month, and then have slow season where it's sitting empty half the month. So you got challenges with, you know, vacancy and occupancy. There's just tons of pros and cons to both. I like STR better, I think. I like the model better, only because the cost per unit is is cheaper. Like you can buy a motel for like, I can buy a motel for like 80 grand a unit, 70 grand a unit. Long-term rental's 170,000 a unit. So you're paying twice as much per unit, right? Which is huge. Oh, my kids want me to go. I gotta wrap this up. Hey, sweetie. Okay, huggy. Huggy. All right, guys, I gotta wrap this stream up. Love you. You're obviously feeling better now. You had some pizza. I tried to put them on camera, so I'm trying to stand where you just can't see them. But yeah, my 3 beautiful girls, that's my mission statement right there. That's why I do what I do. It's like I want them to have an empire, a business. I want them to be part of that, you know? And it's like, why? They're like, it's like, Mike, why build this business? It's like, well, because I can. Because someday I want to be like Trump and be able to employ my whole family and leave them something. A business with 100 million in revenue, where we can go and fly on a private jet, or if someone gets cancer, we can afford to cure it. It's like, that's some powerful shit when like you can live forever. We're getting to an age, I believe, technologically in the next 70 years, my kids will see it for sure, in the next 100 years for sure, where immortality or close to it will be achieved for the rich. It's a fact. And what's better than living forever? I don't know. It's a lot of more life experience. Yes, Raz, I have Bitcoin. I'm a holder. I'm a hodler. I'm hodling some. I had paper hands though. I had 50 Bitcoin that I sold. 40 to 50 Bitcoin and 50, probably 50 ETH or 100 ETH that I sold. So I didn't hodl all of it. I wish. I'd have an extra 5 or 10 million right now. I didn't hodl all of it, but I do have some. So I'm riding the wave with you guys. Bitcoin to 100,000, ETH to 10,000 a token. Let's go. Got some Ultra tokens, UOS, gaming token. Riding that to $2. That's like, again, that's speculative money. If you're watching this and this is like all you have is 10 grand, please don't put all your money just in Bitcoin. Like, especially now at breaking new all-time highs, there's a very good probability we retrace Bitcoin to 30,000 at some point in the next 5 years. Really good chance in the next bear cycle. And I don't know where the top is. We're just guessing at this point. So is there further upside? Maybe, probably. But there's also a lot of downside risk. And I'd hate to see you lose your life savings. Please be careful, guys. Just risk management is so, so important. Learn from me. I've made a bunch of degenerate plays in the stock market world with my monopoly money. It's real money, but my play money still hurts. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. I'm giving you great advice. I don't always follow my own great advice, but I'm telling you from wisdom. The last question was a great insights. Thanks, Mike. Have a great night. Thanks, Bryn. Appreciate it, guys. Would you rather see a tree grow or a knee? Oh, I almost, you almost caught me. No, Seal, I'm not going to say that on camera. Knee. Yeah, you almost caught me. I love to see trees grow. I love growth. So, you almost got me. I do love my knee. My knees have been hurting though. I've been sitting in the car all day. So anyway, guys, I gotta go. It's almost 8 o'clock. That was a rude one. I didn't get caught though. You didn't trip me up, even though I'm tired. All right, I'm gonna wrap the stream up. We used up all my data probably now. We'll see you guys, I guess, next Wednesday. As always, Mike Rosehart on Instagram. I'll post like 10 times a day. You'll see all my stuff. We're in a 2-bedroom suite tonight at the Marriott for like $60 a night. Pretty sweet. Right on the ocean. So I got to go enjoy that. See you guys. See you next week.